Thank you, Irene, and I hope everyone is having a great time. Okay. A good afternoon, a good evening. Thank you, Irene, and your team, and the organizers of this beautiful conference, especially the German hosts here today. Thank you. It is an honor, ladies and a few gentlemen, for me and my team to be here today in a room full of women who are making history and changing the world in their own way. You are changing the world through making policy decisions, leadership decisions. You are changing the world, one conversation, one transaction at a time. My name is Samgediso Dube, and I'm joining you today as the Executive Director of an organization called FP 2030, but also as a woman, as a doctor, a businesswoman, and a leader shaped by the power of choice. Choices that far too women have today. Choices that are being taken from us every single day. I've been able to pursue my career, complete medical school in Zimbabwe where I was born. I've been able to seize the opportunity to jump to the private sector where I was working at Philips and other organizations and financial institutions, and now lead this global organization for human rights because I had access to contraception. Let that sink. Access to birth control or access to the ability and choice to plan for your family. If and when and how many children and with whom you want to have children. That choice is limited for so many people in the world. And I can guess that that today, for many of us in this room, your own life has been shaped by this access. Can you just go through your phone and look at the pictures that you have taken over the past week? From those pictures, think about the power of choice. What has been made possible because you had choice? It could be shopping and buying the best dress that is maybe even in this hall, shopping for lipstick, being able to travel, being able to pursue a career, graduate, or do anything because of the power of choice. Or it could be the opposite. I was also able to choose when I was ready to have my beautiful daughter. It was possibly the most consequential choice of my life, and I'm so thankful to have been able to make it on my own terms. But now, colleagues and friends, the single greatest issue for working women today, and as you have heard from some of the questions that have been asked, is the desire for balance, is the desire for choice, is the desire for autonomy over their own bodies, over their own lives, and over their own careers. To be able to chase their professional dreams while not having to abandon their goals outside of work, like raising children, like taking care of their family members, pursuing an education and a career, starting that entrepreneurial venture, and more. Now, this issue is true whether you are in Bamako in Mali, whether you are in Baltimore, whether you are in Berlin, whether you are in Bangkok, whether you are in Beijing, or whether you are in Bulawayo, where I was born. Access to contraception gives us that choice. If you are here in this room today, you probably had that choice, and you were able to finish your education and climb the corporate ladder and be the CEO that we saw even in this podium today. And for many of you, you were able to choose when you did want to have children on your own terms. The numbers themselves are staggering, Irene. 259 million women globally say they want to avoid a pregnancy, but they aren't using modern contraception, either because they do not have access or the circumstances of their lives, culturally, from a policy perspective, are not allowing them to do so. That's more than the populations of France, Germany, Italy, and Spain combined. 259 million unmet need for family planning. For an executive accustomed to thinking at scale, this represents an enormous market failure and health crisis simultaneously. And this crisis could be shockingly easy to solve. I am astounded when I see the solutions that are emerging and have emerged from this group today. It's a problem that we can all partner to solve. Expanding and improving services to meet all women's needs for modern contraception in developing countries would cost $11 billion annually, or $1.75 per person per year. And it is a huge market opportunity. A venture firm this year found that in the United States alone, the ghost market for contraception, meaning the amount demanded and not being met, is $25 billion annually. And the impact of this investment would be dramatic. Globally, fully meeting family planning needs would result in 21 million fewer unplanned births per year, 8 million fewer miscarriages, and 46 million fewer abortions. These aren't just random facts and figures. These outcomes at scale mean millions of girls staying at school, millions more women entering and staying in the workforce, and fewer mothers, colleagues, dying from preventable conditions. I will quote Mohamed Fatala, an obstetrician and gynecologist from Egypt, who say, "Many women die today, not because we don't have the technology or the know-how to prevent these deaths. They die because society is yet to make a decision that their lives are worth saving." We here are yet to make a decision that this life-saving, life-changing opportunity should be afforded many other people. And this is why family planning offers amongst the highest returns on investment in development. And this is because a well-funded human rights-based family planning program, it can reduce public spending on maternal and child health, increase labor force participation for women, delay first pregnancies, which raises household income over a woman's lifetime, and gives children a strong foundation right from the start. The ripple effects of this type of reality are transformative. Now, in the United States, for example, women who have access to contraception beginning at ages 18 to 21 make 5% more per hour and 11% more per year by the time they are 40. Globally, closing the gender gap, which requires full equitable access to contraception to achieve, would increase per capita GDP by 20%, according to the World Bank. Those figures speak especially to the intuition that I believe is full in this room. That is the world we at FP 2030 are trying to build. A world where women's potential is truly unlocked. Today, I want to talk about what becomes possible when women and girls are empowered to make decisions about their reproductive health, and what becomes impossible when they are not. Because contraceptive access is not just healthcare, it is economic infrastructure. It's investing in human development that drives personal and societal acceleration. We've been talking in some of the tables where I've sat in the past 2 days, Irene, where we are seeing a rollback of reproductive rights and choice and human rights across the world. It's not just in Germany, it's not just in the US, it's not just in Africa, it's everywhere in the world. And not only is this wrong, it's incredibly short-sighted in terms of economic gains and developmental goals. Throughout Africa, we have seen policy barriers like parental consent requirements that limit youth access to contraception. We have also seen providers who refuse to give young people contraception, and attacks on comprehensive sexual education in Eastern Europe and in Asia. In Latin America, where we've got a team in Panama, we have seen there is a rising rate of teen pregnancy. Now, that is an opportunity cost and losses of opportunity for better trajectory for people across the world. We have seen attacks on LGBTQI populations with laws designed to make people scared to access routine sexual reproductive health and care. Sometimes these policy changes are shrouded in family values, but they end up pushing an agenda that is decisively anti-family. In fact, Some of the policies that we are seeing have helped create a world where half of pregnancies globally are unplanned. And this can be having a confounding impact throughout a girl or a woman's life. That's why we started a campaign, and Irene, the reason why I'm here, we started a campaign. You have seen our logo outside. You've got the bags on your seats, or you've been given. It's called Made Possible by Family Planning. Made Possible. Imagine, family planning is not going to solve all the world's problems, but it certainly makes many things better. The campaign is to raise new money. Our target has been 1 billion, so we're talking to bilaterals, to corporations, etc. But we are raising awareness. We want to break out of our own echo chamber in the sexual and reproductive health field to actually appeal to you. Family planning is not a luxury. It is a daily requirement for one to make decisions that are formidable about what they want to do with their lives. Small businesses can be started, degrees can be completed, careers could be launched, poverty cycles could be broken. And yet, too often, it's sidelined as a woman's issue or an optional add-on to country budgets and in health schemes. The campaign that we're talking about, it aims to bring new attention to family planning and better position it where it belongs, not only as a way of preventing or in timing pregnancies, but as a way to transform lives. To those of you who are in the room today, I just invite you to wonder, would you be here today if you didn't have access to that ability and chance to plan for your family? If you didn't have access to contraception, what would your life look like if you didn't have that choice? Indeed, there are 3 things that I would love for you to think about as we leave Berlin. FP 2030 is a partnership of what we call FP 2030 commitment making. Commitment makers are corporations, governments, philanthropies, and other stakeholders that have made a concrete plan to increase access or to use family planning and contraception in their community. Now, that community could be employees in your company, where you might consider making an FP 2030 commitment where you can start increasing access to family planning for your employees today. You can start simply by talking about family planning and moving this out of a shadowy taboo and into something that is normalized and is mainstream. It is not a taboo. You can ensure your country or company's health plans include a full range of family planning methods and maybe is covered from your insurance plan from risk. These are not just the right things to do. This is smart business. Access to family planning reduces absenteeism, improves job retention, and boosts productivity. Now, what else can you do today? Ensure that you can provide flexible scheduling and parental leave policies that reflect women's reproductive realities. Over and above ensuring sexual and reproductive health coverage in workplace and insurance plans, you can also partner with your local NGOs and governments to expand sexual and reproductive health access in communities where you live. Fund innovation. Support tech-driven solutions for contraceptive access. Today, most women are dying, Irene, from conflict-ridden zones. I believe the innovation that is in this room could help us solve that problem in terms of ensuring women can bounce back better because they have access to reproductive choices. Now, doing these things doesn't just make a more prosperous world and business, it makes for a timely investment that would ensure returns even in your balance sheet. In a time of global instability and increased conflict, gender inequality remains both a cause and a consequence of instability and fragility. In this room are many people with the power to shift systems. You have the power to shift budgets. You have the power to shift and change business models and policies. I'm calling on all of you to act on this incredible opportunity. You don't need to be a doctor or a public health expert to transform lives. At times you should live your power, own your privilege, the power of the pen and the power of decision making. If you care about economic growth, invest in contraceptive access. If you care about workforce participation, invest in reproductive health. If you care about stability, invest in women's and girls' rights to choose. Because economic power, political stability, and global resilience are not only made possible by innovation, capital, or trade, they are made possible by family planning. In a world where people are seeing themselves as having scarce resources, in a world of scarcity in people's minds, people have moved not only from scarcity, but something that is worse than scarcity, which is, I just want my own security. I want my country's security. Women, when they gather together, they've got an expansive mindset. They talk about plenty. They talk about more. For us to grow the size of the pie, we can work together, but we need to invest in women's right to choose if and when and how many and with whom you want to have children. And by the way, Irene, 0 is also a number. Thank you.